it away.
Thank you. All right, so we are transitioning to our panel discussion. We'll have Faith, not Faith, sorry, Karen. Faith is her sister, sorry. Faith is my colleague. We'll have Karen come back to the panel. We'll have Carol Kariuki, and we'll have Dr. Catherine Puthia. Jacqueline was also supposed to be on the panel, but unfortunately she had to leave. So definitely her questions I will pose to these panelists at some point. Okay. Yeah. Karen, I will try my level best not to call you Faith, but in case it happens, my advance apologies. I call Faith my sister, so she's very easy on my tongue. All right, so we have listened to Karen, who's the Director of Sustainable Business and Social Impact at Safaricom. With us, we have also Catherine Puthia. She's the CEO and Managing Partner at CM Advocates and is also an advocate of the High Court. And we also have Carol. Carol Kariuki is the CEO of Ichiban Task and Business Advisory, where she leads culture formation, vision setting, and strategy implementation. She's also an advocate of the High Court. She wears very many hats, a life coach, a leadership development trainer, an interior design consultant, and of course, a wife and a mom to two. And she's the only, I think, board member who has carried her husband to this conference. I had to put that there. All right, so the first question, I think we will start with Karen. Yeah. How can leaders, just to continue with the conversation we've had, how can leaders in our country effectively balance the need for disruption with the importance of maintaining stability and sustainability in the industries?
Thank you, Rose. I think for me, I started that topic by saying the shared value mindset. Mm-hmm. I feel if leaders, we start looking at things from innovations that are geared towards addressing societal challenges. You're looking at things like prioritizing purpose over profit. One thing I like talking about, how do we prioritize purpose over profit, promoting ethical and fair practices, then fostering a culture of innovation, being agile and that kind of thing, but also investing genuinely in the well-being of your employees. Mm-hmm. But from the leadership perspective, and from the lessons I have learned in this journey, I think it's prioritizing long-term thinking over short-termism. Mm. Short-termism, I think, is what causes lots of and disruption, because you know you're going to be a CEO for 4 years and transition to another place. So when you have long-term thinking, you have purpose embedded in it, you have the corporate strategy, then that's one way in which you can start fostering disruption and that kind of thing. The second one is aligning to some priorities. Mm-hmm. So at Safaricom, we've aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. We've aligned to the company's, to the country's Vision 2030. Ours is our Vision 2030. We are looking at how do we then get these things to deliver for us in our purpose strategy, looking at other companies, benchmarking, and that kind of thing. I think I gave a highlight of what we've done. I talked about the East Africa device assembly plant because we saw there was a need for digitization. Mm. Health tech is one of the areas in which we have disrupted. And if we continue with digitizing health, then and working towards helping every Kenyan access by looking at things at AI in identifying symptoms and just using our technology for the good of human society. Looking in agriculture, we disrupted agriculture a while back with bringing in things like DigiFarm and the agri-tech solutions and platforms. And so far in DigiFarm, I think we have 1.6 million farmers there. But look at Safaricom. We are not experts in health, we are not experts in agriculture, we are not experts in education. So we disrupt because we have the technology to do it, and we have partners, partnerships. So that's what I would say for now.
Right. So that's really looking from the outside of the organization, partnerships, and really driving your purpose. So bringing it back into the organization, Carol, how would you infuse that leadership disruption in the space of processes in organizations?
All right, thank you very much, Rose. And I'll just piggyback off what Karen has said around values. Because if you're clear on your values, then it's a lot easier for you to question things, because then you have a certain clarity about what is important. And if you are clear on that, then as you question the processes, you're not so worried that questioning the processes will upset the status quo in a way that causes, can I say, undue disruption. By this I mean, if I was to take an example from our organization, from Ichiban, so we have some clear values, and one of them is courage and another is curiosity. And what this does is that it forces us to ask ourselves, how is it that the processes we have are really helping us move forward? And also gives us the confidence to say this process is not working. And if we think about a lot of our businesses, our organizations, we tend to really borrow a lot from each other. So you'll find that a tax practice firm, for example, will look exactly the same as the next tax practice firm. A law firm will look the same as the next one. A clinic looks exactly the same as the next clinic. So we're not asking ourselves, are these processes working? And what we end up doing is that even as time progresses and technology changes and we have new ways of doing things, we're still stuck in our good old ways of doing things, even if they're no longer working for us. But if we're able to ask ourselves those questions, then we are able to start to innovate around process. And I think one of the things we do is when we think innovation, we tend to think a lot about technology, but the reality is that innovation can even come in process. It can come in product, but we can only get that if we have the courage to ask those questions and have the courage to receive the answers that we get and accept them. Because sometimes we ask the question, and when we get the answer, we're like, no, that can't be it. Let's just keep doing this. It's been working for us for the last 20 years. So I think that element of the values and having that courage to just face the reality and the curiosity to ask, can we do this better? Yeah.
Okay, so having the courage to take in the challenge that comes from what you have asked, if I'm getting that right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because I think sometimes we then can be set in our ways of doing things, and therefore we are resisting change that comes with that. Okay, so Catherine, just bringing you in and looking in terms of regulation, because automation, AI, digitization, changing of processes, then that speaks also to the space of regulation. So in what ways are governments and regulatory bodies supporting and encouraging the disruptive innovation within the business landscape?
Okay, thank you, Rose. So basically, in Kenya, there's been a lot of changes in terms of the legislative framework, in terms of supporting and growing disruptive innovation. And one obvious way that the government can spur this sector is through legal and regulatory framework. And I think the role of the government will be to consistently monitor the changes in national and global environment and respond very quickly to those changes. I think Kenya did very well with data protection. GDPR, that's the EU regulation, was I think around 2018, and just about 1 year later, we came up with the data regulation, the Data Protection Act. We had the commission, and Kenya is reputed to have the best data protection act in Africa. So I feel like that's one obvious role. When it comes to AI, we are having AI policy. The AI strategy was about March 2025. And the role of government really is to give clarity and guidance. Though I must point out that Our institutions, in terms of the institutional framework, I think that is still, there's a lot of improvement to be done because we lack the budgetary allocations and so on. So we do have an innovation agency, and this agency is supposed to, participate in spurring the growth of disruptive innovations. I'm not very sure about the impact it has had since the inception. And if you look at other governments where they fund innovation, like the Singapore Smart, there's UK Innovate, and from that funding, you're able to get a lot of homegrown innovations. In Kenya, I think there's one organization that does fund, but the amounts are very little. We're talking about 50K, 200K, it's not impactful. So I feel like we need to improve our institutional capacity, and our institutions also need to think outside the box in terms of funding. Things like PPPs, getting into those kind of arrangements with venture capitalists. Yeah, so there's a lot the government can do.
All right, thank you. So today in the morning we had a lot of discussion around AI and automation, but I'd like to bring in the aspect of data analytics. So Karen, then I would ask, how can businesses harness the power of data and analytics to drive disruptive change and improve decision-making in the organization?
All right, thank you. When you look at how businesses operate currently, you need to have data-driven decision making. That's one way of doing it. You need to have data-driven decision making. In this day and age, you cannot afford to make decisions without having the insights from what the data is saying. So you need real-time analytics, you need predictive analytics, and you need to be able to experiment, fail fast, and move forward. If you look at AI in Safaricom, when we started doing AI, first thing we did was AI 101. Every employee in Safaricom is trained on AI. It was compulsory. We called it the 2+1, one more skill. So we started there. So as a business, you have to have data-driven decision making. How would we know the number of customers who call if we didn't have the data, then make the right decision? Then we looked at AI and machine learning for disruption. Yeah. So personalizing customer experiences in the business. We started looking at things like our chatbots, what are we seeing, the predictive maintenance and sensors. So none of Safaricom's base transceiver station is manned by someone. All these things are intelligent machine to machine. Then we can know this is disrupted here and that kind of thing. Secondly, it was to enhance our own efficiency. Yeah. How do you look at supply chain optimization when you don't even understand? When we innovated around DigiFarm, this was some of the insights we're looking at. Companies like Twiga Foods, yeah, how did they disrupt their own? Then we looked at analytics a bit, HR analytics, then dynamic pricing. I think even as a person who works in Safaricom, I get lost in our pricing. So we started using these models to help us get the right pricing, and then also disrupt our own business models with the fintech revolution, the agri-tech innovations, health tech. So history has shown, and recent history, that companies that disrupt themselves stand a higher chance of surviving. So then, of course, the pet subject, risk management, fraud detection, cybersecurity analytics, credit risk modeling, those kind of things. Then underpinned by, as I said, doing the right thing, government, regulatory, compliance, then building a data culture. I think many people, many leaders don't have that patience to start building that data culture, because many people go, I think the old leadership used to be told leaders make decisions from their gut feeling. So now you take your gut and the data and then make the decision. So businesses that harness data and analytics actually outperform their competitors when it comes to reducing costs, unlocking new revenue streams. And I think for me, the parting remark is always start small scale fast, then embed data in every decision. Yeah.
Okay. So data is very critical and important in how we are moving forward actually in running businesses. And I think also that is very important at the board level. How are we using data that is coming from the business to make decisions? Just still in that space of using data and looking at the processes. Carol, what are some of the HR processes and practices that we can innovate around to make the workplace a place where people love to work? We always say employees are more productive when they are happy at the workplace.
Absolutely. And so I'll use Ichiban as an example. One of our objectives is exactly that, to make Ichiban a place where people love to work. And given that we are in the financial consultancy space, it is a space that is not known for people loving where they work. It is well known for toxicity, it's well known for driving hard bargains, splitting families, causing a lot of mental health problems. But we were determined to create a space where we can actually have a place where people do love to work. And this goes back to the element of data. Do we understand our demographic? Who are our staff? Because when you understand your demographic, then you can treat them as they need to be treated. So for us, we generally will have people aged between 24 to around 35, thereabouts. That's the majority of our workforce. Our clientele is generally people who are over the age of 40. In terms of these are the CFOs and the CEOs, those will be our first points of contact. So when we are doing this, then we are able to create a space that caters for that need. So what are some of these needs? It will be a person who is aged 22 or 24 is probably starting off in life. So they may or may not have, a spouse, or if they do, they probably have young children. So what are the things that they worry about? I need to drop my child in school in the morning. I probably need to do that for the next 10, 12 years of my life. So what happens? If I put them on a bus, they have to be picked up at 5:45. They'll be on the bus for an hour and a half. I don't want that. So, but I can't put them I can't take them to school, otherwise I'll be late to work. So what we do is we give you flexibility on reporting hours. So you actually have the time to go, take your child to school, come to work, and there's no problem. You're still in good time. You have a young child. If you get home late, you'll probably find them asleep. So we give you flexibility in the evening to leave a little bit earlier, so that if you need to go home, watch the child, do the homework with the child, get them to bed, you have the freedom to do that. What are some of the things that people worry about at that point in time? I'm in an office. When I look around, the restaurants around me sell food at 1,000 shillings per meal. If I'm not doing that, I'm having to go to a kibanda. We want dignity. So rather than having our people go to a kibanda, we provide the food. But this is all about understanding the demographic. If we're working with a demographic, and this will probably happen as the organization grows older, as our demographic grows older, chances are we might need to change some of those policies to adapt to that. And yesterday, as we were having the discussion here with Dr. Monda, when she's talking about pushing agendas around the insurance, the health insurance, then that's something that can then happen. At the moment, if I think about what is important for our people, then I'm able to start innovating around our processes. We spend a lot of time in the office, so the office needs to be beautiful. The office needs to be well lit. It needs to be airy. We provide standing desks because we're told that sitting is the new smoking. So all you've been sitting here for many hours, you smoke the equivalent of 7 cigarettes. So you need to stand up very shortly. So we provide standing desks, which then means that you have less stress on your back. So if you sit for an hour, you can stand for an hour. So you're healthier, you're happier, you're able to work better, not necessarily because we want you to work longer, but we want every minute that you spend there to be impactful, not just for us, but for you as well. And what that then means is that tomorrow, you don't wake up thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go and earn my salary yet again. You can actually wake up and say, no, I'm going to a place where I know there's purpose, I know there's vision, and I am comfortable, and I am happy to be there. And just as Karen said, if we have a place where people are happy, then chances are, that was you, sorry, when you were starting off, that chances are you're going to get better service, your clients are going to get better service, and ultimately your product will be able to live a lot longer.
Okay, so clearly translates happy employees equals to happy customer. All right, which translates into better business. Yes. Yeah, and more revenues, I'm reminded. Great. All right, so Karen also mentioned the aspect of risk, and I want to bring in Catherine just to speak about how can companies effectively manage risks associated with disruptive innovations?
Okay, thank you. So there's a lot of risk to traditional businesses when you think about disruptive innovation. I was reading the case of Kodak actually yesterday. They just filed for bankruptcy. Was it this week? I saw something on CNN. And if you trace the journey of Kodak, this is a company that's 130 years. They were one of the first patenters of the camera technology, whatever it is, but the first patent was around 1880, and over the years, their scientists in R&D have held different patents. But when you look at Kodak, what really happened? When the smartphone came into the market, the smartphone was able to disrupt. And, cameras were now accessible to the common people. And it's probably something Kodak did not maybe consider in terms of its business model. So the first smartphone camera was around, I think it's the year 2000. And when I was reading this article, I was wondering what was going through the mind of Kodak when the first smartphone with a camera came up. I thought maybe at that point in time, they could have thought of responding to this disruption. Sorry. Okay. And, okay, thanks. There would have been many ways to respond. Probably they would have diversified and thought of entering that market. Maybe they would have done a partnership with that company. It was, I think, the first mobile phone with a smartphone was a Japanese phone, a very little known phone. But they could have thought of diversification. At that point, they could have thought of a collaboration. You know, there are so many things they could have thought of. So to bring it back home, because innovation is something that is constantly happening, and for any business, even in the legal sector where I am, there's this AI called Wakili AI, and I tried it out. I was checking if it's accurate and so on. It's very scary because it's on point. It's right on point. And as law firms, we have to respond to that. We can't just sit and wait and, watch your clients going away. So I think the first thing is to constantly monitor the market, constantly be updated on what's going on in your sector. A good way to look at it is globally, find out what's happening, and then do an impact assessment of how is this going to affect my business in the long run, in the short run. For us, we looked at Wakili AI, and we know that the next generation, Gen Z, they're going to be more digital and so on. So we have to respond to that. We have to find a way of responding to that. And I feel like one very underlooked way of responding to disruptive innovation is you being the disruptor. I think Safaricom has done very well in that area with continuous innovation. So if you look at Netflix, for example, when I don't know the last time I went to get, those cassettes, the video, the video cassettes. Yeah. So Netflix came, disrupted the cinemas, disrupted these video shops, and Netflix has about 2,106 patents in its own name. About 80% of these patents are active. So this means that Netflix has the ability to maintain a dominant position. So for us who are here in our different sectors, it is continuous innovation and patenting, getting IP rights over what over what you innovate. Though the Kenyan patent system is not, it's a very strict system because you cannot patent a software in Kenya. You have to think of going outside. But getting the IP rights when you continuously innovate, I think, can help you maintain a dominant position. Lastly, it's to also have strategy around things like mergers and acquisitions. Most of these disruptors you find are startups maybe, and maybe they don't have as much funding as the traditional industry. If you think of Facebook, when the guy started, he had to get seed funding. If you think of Amazon, had to get seed funding, and different rounds of funding to be where they are. So as traditional industries which have the money, you could think of acquiring, getting a stake in some of those companies. I was thinking about Amazon, and I was wondering what if a publishing company actually took a stake when Amazon was beginning. If they decided to be one of the seed investors, where would they be right now? Yeah, so I feel okay, continuous innovation, risk management, and commercial strategy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so that really brings the point home that even as we serve on the different boards, is to be alert and see what are these innovations that are coming and how are they coming to affect our businesses and how do we quickly pivot so that we make sure we remain relevant. I think Kodak, believed they were the in thing, and now they have really been messed up in terms of business. Yesterday I was watching a clip of, I think it was an old CNN clip, and they were trying to define what is internet. It was a very hilarious clip to watch in this era now, knowing that I know what I know, but then it was quite mind-boggling because they couldn't define what it was. So that was very interesting. And even thinking about Netflix and the tapes, I don't know if anyone still has those tapes. I have about 10 I'm saving for my grandchildren, Yes, just for them to see what used to happen before all this revolution came up. All right, so I think as we come to almost the end, the last two questions, and I'll open them up to the panel. Any of you is free to answer. What are the new technologies, new opportunities emerging as a result of global shifts in consumer behavior and industry trends? What are the new emerging opportunities we are seeing due to global consumer behavior and industry change that is happening?
I think I can start. And I'll start with storytelling. I think when we're talking about AI, somebody said that, the human touch is something that people are missing. And I think that is what is really driving the whole storytelling narrative. If you think about even how advertising is being done now, how campaigns are being done, how lobbying is being done, it's being done using stories. So it's a soft skill. It's not so much on the tech space. I mean, you can use tech to leverage it, but then everything that we're doing now is really moving into the storytelling. Why is it important to you? Why should it be important to me? What is the impact of this going to be? Can you tell it to me in such a way that I not only understand, but I can also own it? So you can't tell it to me using big words and technical terms that, make you look smart. We're all smart, so smart is not it. So you need to connect with me, and storytelling is what is doing that. One of the things that I am finding is then becoming a very big challenge is that we're used to storytelling being very much, I'd say, on the softer side of things, but we now need it in the quote-unquote hard things. We need storytelling in the medical fields so we can understand the diseases, we can understand the solutions. We need storytelling in the financial field. We want to be economically empowered. How can I be empowered if I don't understand what I'm up against? I need stories to help me get there. So the challenge is then learning how do we translate what we are doing from a very technical perspective into a story that can impact and can resonate with the people we are speaking to.
Okay, so storytelling, but touching on to purpose. I think you have brought up the aspect of purpose,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, any other? Or can I pose a different question? Okay.
I was just going to say, when I look at where the future is, where technology is going, and looking at some of the opportunities I see, it always makes me reflect too when M-Pesa was launched. Did any of you ask these questions? Did you trust M-Pesa immediately? Yeah? Imagine.
Where's this money?
You had to stand there.
Yes.
I stand here, you send and you see, has it come? For real.
So what was there at that time when the disruption occurred? There was no paperwork. You know, in the bank you're filling and filling and filling, so there was no paperwork. It was just trust and an SMS. And that trust didn't come easy. Safaricom has earned it over the years. So when I look at this, the disruptions in technology and the future, I always ask myself, no matter what and how we advance, nobody can replace that human need for trust. Yeah, and when trust is threatened by misinformation, data misuse, perception, we can't afford to be passive. So I always ask myself, in the boards, what do boards discuss, Catherine? Are you guys in the era of asking? Are we compliant? Or what are you asking? Are you asking yourselves, are we prepared for disruption technology and the things that are coming? Are we resilient? Yeah? Can we look at a customer in the eye and say with confidence, your data is safe with us? So for me, and would you believe me? Will you believe me? So there's a study I was looking at. I was looking at a study, and in that study, it's the Cisco 2025 Data Privacy Benchmark Study. And it was showing customers now are choosing companies based on trust and how they treat their personal data. Yeah, so it's all about privacy, compliance. So even if we're looking at global disruptions, global shifts, at the end of the day, it will come down to data privacy. What data of yours do we have, for instance? So perhaps we know what time you wake up, because most people when they wake up, the first thing is they pick their phone. Others are reading the Bible. Others are sending M-Pesa. The young ones are sending I love you to 20 different people to see who will. So, if you look at it from the global, again, AI, yeah, and that's why I loved what Colin said. It's a powerful tool with lots of promise, but it has a lot of also risks. So for me, I'm looking at things like the AI systems are being trained in using personal data. Yeah, sometimes they don't have your consent. Have you ever talked about something with someone, then on Facebook maybe you're saying I'm looking for black dress, or you Googled somewhere black dress, or you looked at a black dress, and then all the AI algorithms are showing you. So those are the disruptions we are talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And as we are busy in our various boardrooms, I like throwing a spanner in your works, as we are busy in our various boardrooms discussing AI, trying to understand that kind of thing, many customers already paying the price for their data being used, repurposed, exploited. I think we need to look at cybersecurity as a disruptor. Yeah, social engineering. Right now, when you look at a clip, I'm never sure, is it Catherine or not? Yes. Yeah. So those are the disruptions that will bring other people money and bring other people tears. So the social engineering, and where I sit and where I see, cybersecurity isn't a one-off investment. I think it's time that we started taking these things seriously, looking at it as a continuous strategic imperative, safeguarding. Remember, I started with trust. We need to safeguard the trust of employees, the trust of our customers. So in this age, everyone here should be a cybersecurity, data privacy expert. And now this is what I'm sharing with you on the board. When you hear people saying so and so took our data, ask them the critical questions. So you must also understand what are the critical questions. Yeah. How do you disrupt their thinking? But also continuously building trust, educating customers, educating everyone in your ecosystem so that you are all at the same point. And also making privacy simple in plain language. Then above it all, I think what we are trying to do at Safaricom is leading with humility and transparency. And when we collect data nowadays in our events, here nobody asked me to sign a consent form. Sikuona. I saw people signing. That's what people are signing. Oh, I just wrote my name.
There's a big banner.
Nobody explained to me. So, as the innovations and disruptions are getting faster, remember, even AI will get faster. Then we must match that speed with governance.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think as we finish, I'll ask Catherine this question, and if anyone to build on it, please feel free. So what are some of the strategies, what are some of the strategies that leaders can adopt in fostering collaboration between the traditional companies and the disruptive businesses?
Okay, thanks. So, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like collaboration and partnerships will be a way that traditional businesses can, relate to these disruptive industries. And I think it's time for traditional businesses to have a mind, to change the mindset. Because the traditional business or business as usual, it's totally changed right now. So I'll give an example of a man that I admire. He's actually a baby boomer, but he's been in the traditional industries of real estate, logistics, transport, and all that. And one of his children came up with a digital innovation. And this man was able to sit down and listen and give this son of his a chance to be able to grow. So he funded the son, and I think right now that software really brings in a lot of revenue. So I would say in terms of transforming how we think about the traditional business, and knowing that we are in a transition stage. I don't know what they call it, I think the fourth revolution. That is where we are. And it's now not about capital, it's now not about how much land you have. It's also about innovation, it's about technology. So even in our boards, having that transformational thinking and transformational mindset, knowing that the new gold is in knowledge, the new gold is in innovations. So as businesses, maybe it would be to invest more in R&D, research and development. It would be maybe during recruitment, recruit talented, innovative individuals. It would be in terms of also protecting your IP, intellectual property, but also in terms of mergers and acquisitions, using commercial strategy in terms of fostering those partnerships. In Kenya, I don't know about a lot of many homegrown innovations. I think the ones I've been privileged to interact with have either stalled or died down because of lack of funding. And actually a challenge to the banks. There's this one guy I was representing, and he had a very, very good innovation that won a global award. And it won a global award in a very reputable competition. But when we came back to look for funding here, there's no bank that was willing to even give him a chance. And when I asked for the reason, it was issues about proof of concept, things like that. And when we look at other jurisdictions, like maybe the states, there is funding for this kind of innovations. There are venture capitalists, there are all those kind of innovative funding. And I feel like a challenge to us in traditional business, especially maybe like banking, is to think of a model in which you can fund some of these disruptive innovations because they are the next big thing. You can imagine the guys who funded Amazon or Facebook, how much profit they returned on that. I know it's a risky thing to get into, but also the reward is very, is very good. So I wish for more traditional businesses to get into that space of funding, looking into partnerships, even if it's not a proven method, getting prototypes over your ideas and concepts. Yeah, so there's a lot that can be done in that space.
Okay, thank you. And even just looking internally, there's always this conversation of Gen Z, but I like pivoting and saying we are multi-generational, we have a multi-generational workforce right now in many organizations, 3 to 4 generations at the workplace. How do we harness that? To drive innovation, to bring in the disruptive innovation that is taking place around industries, to just help the businesses to scale up. I'd like to open up now to Q&A, if we have any questions from the floor. Any questions? I see hands behind there.
Thank you. My name is Juma Msakali, and I'm not Catherine's husband. My question goes to Karen. Thank you very much, Karen, for the presentation, and it has given me a new perspective on purpose and profit. But I'm just wondering, how do purpose and profit interact in terms of long-term sustainability? Thank you.
Any other questions? Ladies, Eunice? Yes.
I would like to thank the panelists for this very important topic. And it's, of course, very important that businesses that have not adopted to technology will not survive in this era. I'm in the health sector, and we're seeing a lot of technology in health. And right now, we are treating patients from home because of technology. You have your BP machines, you can do your blood pressures and everything, your glucose at home, and just worry to your doctor, and they'll be able to give you advice. But why I took the mic is to thank Safaricom. Karen has mentioned very many things they've done. And we are a team here from Kenyatta National Hospital. And they've done a lot of work at Kenyatta, and I'd just like to thank you on behalf of the management. They've renovated one of our wards, the maternity wards, the newborn unit, and even equipped it. And you have saved very many lives out of that. And we would really like to thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Mine may not be a question per se, but it is kind of an observation. Equally, I want to echo the same sentiments with those who've really been happy. I'm happy to hear what Safaricom have been able to do, giving back to the society, and it is very key. My worry, although I maybe start to be corrected, is the many projects you've been able to do. We have seen when we go, we do the issue of accountability. We are in the Office of the Auditor General, but we say so many projects not rebelled, as in you've done award, but it's just left, could be you do the labeling or you blood them in your, but you still find there are people who are not very genuine. They can really use those projects to even to popularize themselves, especially political people. So what we'd like you to exactly label your work. Let's give it the credit it is due. Because we find people, they are on the ground, they don't know the work you're doing. Actually, it is coming to a point now. And remember, we are on board. You remember? So what we are saying, let's also get the true picture of you. The other issue is also, let's also have a feedback mechanism. I am in the Directorate of Citizen Accountability Audit. Let's also partner with you so that we can be able to reach out to the people and also to make that change in the lives and the livelihoods of our citizens. Otherwise, thank you so much. And we are also behind you.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, it's at Kenyatta that I learned about the CPAP and the bilirubin. That was 10 years ago when we started working with Kenyatta, and every year we still go back and partner. So thank you for recognizing. Let me say this, you can ask Kenyatta National Hospital. I brand up to the fridge and the bedding and the curtain. Actually, for me and my team, we feel like we've overbranded because we know what we can't stop. I remember in the last election, I was seated in the office watching news, and the Mheshimiwa was launching our projects happily. And it's true, it happens. So from 2026, 2027, we know we are heading in that season where people will be launching, but they will find any project we've done. You will see a big board, a big branding. Anywhere now you walk, you will see either M-Pesa Foundation, Safaricom Foundation, well branded. But we have no control of what the Mheshimiwa will do. They can still go and launch, but the beauty is, and I don't want to make this comment out of context, even when we have the highest office launching our project online, Kenyans remind them that is M-Pesa Foundation. It has happened where we've gone with who is who. Kenyans will always say this was funded by M-Pesa Foundation because they see our impact on the ground. But happy to meet, discuss, and see what your office does and how you can add value to us. Thank you. On the issue of
yeah, I have one actually to you, Karen. And first and foremost is to thank you and Safaricom. Happy to learn what it is that you're doing to impact the society. I'm the only person in the room who has my pastor here with me. And the reason why I have stood up is because I don't know whether she's in here now or she has walked out. But the church where I fellowship, and she's my little pastor. The church takes care of children who are abled differently. I don't call them disabled, I call them abled differently. And the reason why the church took that initiative is so that members are not coming to church and they are hiding these children home. And the church initiative is actually to call out many more of such children, not to be left home when the parents are coming to worship, but really to bring them to church, and the church is able to take care of them. But if my pastor was here, I'm sure she would have spoken in a deeper way, because as a church we have limited capacity. So now that Safaricom, I have listened and I'm very excited to hear how you're impacting the community. I'm standing on behalf of my church. I will ask my pastor to liaise with you and see how much support can we get from Safaricom. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you for that. We have very good expertise in working with children with disabilities. We've done lots of projects. If you follow us, you'll notice our CEO in the last Ndoto Zetu, we've always gone to schools with schools for children with disabilities. So we do lots of work in that area. So see me behind there, then we can discuss, and I can put you through intensive scrutiny to see if you will pass the test. Because we just don't give money to anyone. I must understand your governance structures. We have been in this country for long in this game. We were approached by a church here in Mombasa, I won't name details, and they had gotten together reformed drug addicts. So by the time they applied, it was the pastor who applied on behalf of these people. And I don't know, for some reason I felt I needed to deliver those things myself. So when I went, the group, by the time we delivered in 3 months, had sambaratikad. So we always like knowing that it is established, they can take care of our investments and so on. So I was there, thank God it was a cutter for plastic. We could easily repurpose to another group. So profits with purpose. When you look at the Safaricom model, our purpose is to transform lives. And in transforming lives, we have things like M-Pesa, fintech. We have things like SME, people we focus on, SMEs and that kind of thing. So there's no profit and there's no purpose. It is one and the same for us. But what we lead with is purpose, people, planet. Then profit will follow. We strongly believe as a business that we can only thrive when society around us thrives. And that's why as a business we can tell when times are hard for Kenyans, because when they're not thriving, we see it directly in our on the spend on airtime, data, and that kind of thing. But also we strongly believe as a business that the Kenyan society and now the Ethiopians have been good to us, therefore we must give back. That's why when we talk about giving back, you'll never hear me saying this is an Airtel customer, this is a Telecom customer, this is a, we give back to all Kenyans, irrespective of where you subscribe, because of our belief that by doing good, good multiplies. Many times we've been asked, why do we do this? It's the right thing to do. When you use your company's assets, resources, knowledge to support society, society reflects the same. It gives you back 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. So for us, it's addressing societal issues, using what we have, and then we reap the benefit at the end of it. But we never went in saying, where is the benefit? It is just the mindset and the mindset shift and culture that we believe in. The profits will always follow.
All right. So I just wanted to chime in on that because sometimes, you know, we hear these stories from the larger organizations, and when we are SMEs and smaller organizations, sometimes we feel that, but you're Safaricom, you know, you can afford, you can afford to buy the machines. Me, I can't afford to buy that machine. However, that is not to say that as a smaller organization that the same principle does not apply. It does. And I'll look at it this way. A business is there for several reasons. Profit is one of them, purpose is another. You cannot have one flourishing to an extreme without the other. However, if you look at your profit, if you're running your business well, you should be making a profit. If you're not making a profit, you're not in business. You should be thinking about something else to do. So you need to be making a profit so that you can designate a portion of that profit towards financing something that is impactful. And sometimes you don't have to start with outside the organization. You can start with inside the organization. And then as your organization grows, as your profits grow, you then start to have a margin that then you're able to utilize towards something that is impactful. As you do that, then you put in place your proper governance structures, you put together your proper communication, you let your people know internally and externally what you stand for, they start to resonate with you. When they start to resonate with you, then your purpose and your profit start to marry, and they become the same thing. So then as your essentially performing your purpose, then you're also building up your brand that fuels your profit. As you build up your profit, you're then creating larger and larger margins that then enable you to get back into your purpose. So they do go hand in hand, and you don't have to wait until you're a Safaricom. You start exactly where you are with what you have, and you build up on it, and then it creates kind of a whirlwind that then goes picking up and growing as you continue fueling each and every one.
Wow, so is that your parting shot? All right, I'll leave it open as a round of parting shots so that we can finish this very juicy discussion that we are having here.
Let me say this. The reason why we have made great strides as a business is because of people like you. It's because we hear and we listen from you. So as a business, we're always open. If you know anyone who needs support in terms of foundation, not sponsorship, because I don't do sponsorships. I work on sustainable community investments, just as you've reached out. I'll be here for a while, happy to hear your ideas. And please don't say I stole your ideas. These ideas are there. It will just be translating it to your community, your area. So we're always open, and we believe strongly in partnerships. Partnerships help us get ahead, and we also believe we do not want to leave any Kenyan behind as we transform the lives of society. Thank you.
Catherine.
Okay, thank you. So my parting shot from a legal perspective is, let's take advantage of the transition stage, the disruptive innovations. What I say to each of us is intellectual property. Just protect your IP, whether or not it makes sense. So what I advise people to do is don't throw away any idea, don't throw away any concept. Write it down. It could be the next big thing. And to also gauge your idea insofar as IP is concerned, okay, I'll talk about patents. Insofar as that is concerned, you can always check Google patents or the other patents which are available, and you'll be able to know if whatever you're coming up with is something that probably has been patented before, or you could also analyze the patents that are there to come up with new ideas where there's a gap in whatever you're thinking about. And commercializing of the IP or the patents does not have to come immediately, but I believe that when the market is ready, you'll be able to, to have a dominant position by using IP. You could also, protect whatever it is and have commercial strategy around licensing or selling of IP. So I'm also an IP, I don't know if it's an activist or whatever, but I'm very passionate about intellectual property, and as a country, we are very, very innovative. And I really hope to see that more and more businesses will come out and use IP as a tool to be able to disrupt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Carol, as a parting shot.
All right, thank you. So my parting shot will be, have courage. Have courage. We cannot be disruptors without courage. We need to be willing to challenge the status quo. We need to be willing to fail and make mistakes. And when you do, because you will, you need to have the courage to stand up again and do it all over again. So please have courage.
Thank you very much. I think we have done it justice here. Leaders disrupting industries. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you exit the stage, we would like to have a picture and just give you a little gift as an appreciation. So where's the camera? Yeah. You can all stand up for a gift, and then we will give you individual gifts. Cameraman is there? Yeah. I know, like, it's coming. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. We appreciate you. Okay, now for the gifts, and I'd like to call over Rhoda Mura to gift Catherine Puthia. Rhoda? Here, thank you. Thank you so much. Catherine, yes, please. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on IP and AI. Let's clap for them, please. Thank you. Thank you. Next up to gift Karen, I'll call over Unisongele. Please gift Karen. Thank you so much for helping us shift our mindset when it comes to profit and purpose and sustainability and all that Safaricom is doing to make an impact. Awesome. And last but not least, to gift Carol Musakali Juma, please come through and gift Taz. People who call her Taz. Ask her why. Why? Tasmania. Who used to watch Tasmania? We'll talk to her during lunch break. She's a ball of energy. Thank you, Taz and Musakali. Now we are about to transition to lunch, but I just want 5 minutes. I want to give Vicky, where is Vicky? I want to give her 5 minutes to just speak a little bit on the partnership that Profile International and Genius has with the Women on Boards Network. She was here yesterday and she gave us such a powerful speech on identity, and I want her to another 5 minutes just to speak about that partnership, and then we'll head over for lunch and then be back to talk about